In this example, I need to find the exact value of the tangent of the inverse cosine of -1/2. As this problem involves inverse cosines, let's quickly review the inverse cosine function, where the domain or input values are real numbers in the interval -1 to 1, including the endpoints, and the output values, or the range, are angles in the interval 0 to pi, again including the endpoints. What this means is that when I have an inverse cosine function, my answer has to lie somewhere in the shaded region on this unit circle, somewhere between 0 and pi. This problem looks fairly complicated. It's a composition of functions. And to make it easier to understand, I'm going to let the inverse cosine of -1/2 equal a variable. I'm going to pick theta. So my problem just becomes find the tangent of theta. Now remember, I said we're going to let theta equal the inverse cosine of -1/2. And what does this mean? This means that the cosine of theta equals -1/2, but don't forget the restrictions, and theta has to lie in the interval 0 to pi. It is very important to remember this restriction because there are an infinite number of angles for which the cosine of theta equals -1/2, but there's only one angle in this region between 0 and pi for which this is true. So since the cosine of theta equals -1/2, the cosine of theta is the x-coordinate of the points on the unit circle, and where is an x-coordinate equal to -1/2? Somewhere between 0 and pi. The x-coordinate equals -1/2 right here at 2 pi over 3. So I know that theta equals 2 pi over 3. So now the problem of finding tan theta becomes just find the tangent of 2 pi over 3. And remember, the tangent of theta is equal to the sine of theta divided by the cosine of theta. So it's going to be the sine of 2 pi over 3 divided by the cosine of 2 pi over 3. The sine of 2 pi over 3 is the y-coordinate at that point, which is the square root of 3 over 2, divided by the cosine of 2 pi over 3, which is the x-coordinate of -1/2. And how do we divide fractions? We take the fraction in the numerator, the square root of 3 over 2, leave it alone, multiply it by the reciprocal of the fraction in the denominator, so that's going to be -2 over 1. Now the two 2's reduce, and I get the square root of 3 times -1, which is negative the square root of 3, divided by 1 times 1, which is 1. So I know that the tangent of the inverse cosine of -1/2 equals negative the square root of 3 divided by 1 is just negative the square root of 3. So that is the exact value for that expression.